Hi, everyone. This is Rolando. I'm the Director of Communications for the Fort McMurray 468 First Nation. And here's another episode of the Fort McMurray 468 Focus. So today I'm with Jennifer Vardy. She's the Director of Childcare Services and the Director of Child and Family Supports. Welcome, Jennifer.
Hey, thanks for having me, Rolando.
Absolutely. Thanks for taking some time and being with us today. We've got some questions that we've lined up that we're going to spend over the next half an hour or so chatting with you about. So let's get started. So I introduced you just now, and you run two teams, the Child Care Services and the Child and Family Supports at the Nation. Is that right?
Yeah, you're correct. Two teams.
So can you tell me about the focus of each one of those teams?
Absolutely. We'll start with the childcare. So on the Fort McMurray First Nation, we have two childcare programs. One is Brighter Beginnings Academy, an Aboriginal Head Start on reserve. So that's ages 3 to 5 going into kindergarten. And then we also have Pata's Playhouse, which is an Indigenous daycare. So all in all, we support families in early learning and childcare for the children ages 0 all the way to 6. So we take care of that bit. As I said, our focus for the Child Care Center is Indigenous childcare and early learning. So what's different from our program than you would see in other programs is we have a very large emphasis on culture, traditions, and education around being First Nation, in addition to the academic portion, the play portion that you would see in other programs for both our Head Start and our daycare.
Right.
Part 2, our child and family support. This program is an area that we had just brought in last year in 2019. So it is relatively new. And what this program does is it supports our families and our children where they're at. So what that means is we support them in goal setting. So if a goal is to, for a family, maybe the mom wants to get her license, right? So we make smart, achievable goals, and they meet with me and we talk about, so sometimes it's almost a little bit like therapy. So it's like, okay, why haven't you got your license yet? What's stopping you from getting it? And how important is it to you? Because when we're setting goals, I can set a goal tomorrow, to lose 200 pounds, but if it doesn't matter to me and it's not achievable and I don't have someone to keep me accountable, well, those goals are just words on paper. So I work with families to try to support them in those goals. We have an additional person on our team, our Indigenous liaison, Norma Shalafu, and she supports our children in school. So she's the go-to. So in our program, if we have children in the school system who just need a break, it's been a long day or something's happening at home, they have that person from the community one door down that they can go hang out with for a little bit and make that connection.
Okay, awesome. So it sounds like one area is really focused on young child care and education and culturally relevant education also.
Yeah.
And the other area is focused kind of like a life coach in a way, right?
Yes.
Like you set the goals, we help you kind of achieve them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Cool. And who are the team that are supporting those different areas?
We have just an array of amazing people on our team. So I just go in alphabetical order. On our childcare services side, we have Brittany McKenzie. She's one of our early childhood educators. She's been with us now for going on 3 years. Fantastic. She has volunteered, gone to school in Anzac, which is our neighboring community, which some of our First Nation members live in Anzac. So she has those connections to our families and our children from, for forever. So she's just so valuable to our team. Haley Ferguson lives on the First Nation. Her husband is a First Nation member. She just had a baby. So we're welcoming her back here in September. Jasmine Jack early childhood educator. She's one of our casual staff. The reason she's casual is she is going to school for social work. So we're hoping that when she graduates, that she'll come, do some social work stuff at the Nation. She's fantastic. She also lives on the Nation, and she has a beautiful baby who goes to our daycare. I say baby, but I mean she's 2 now, so she's a toddler. Jennifer Cheecham, once again, lives on the First Nation, a First Nation member. Her children have gone to her school. Her children go to Anzac School. And interesting fact about Jen is she started at the Childcare Center with me almost 5 years ago. It was the Jen team. Her and I were the first teachers. So she's been there just as long as I have. And yeah, she's so valuable to our team. Kaylin, Blacksmith Cardinal. She's an early childhood educator for our childcare services. She's new. She just joined our team this year. Fantastic. Kaylin has this energy about her and these ideas that really bring out the best in our kids. She sees things differently, and she can take, just random kind of objects and make them into this, these beautiful things for children to embrace creativity. So we're very lucky to have Kaylin. Megan Cote, she's also new. Megan started 3 weeks before COVID. So unfortunately, her and another one of our staff, Natasha, just started, and then we took our leave. But Megan, she came to us with 5 years in education already, early childhood education. And I call her the queen of loose parts. For people who don't know what loose parts is, it's random things that you would find, rocks, sticks, leaves, and she makes these phenomenal imagination-based learning activities that really take learning for our children to the next level. It's the concept about loose parts is very, very popular now, especially in childcare. We're really moving away from the plastic toys that just have one purpose. Not that they're bad, but they're very just one-dimensional. A plastic car can really only do a couple of things. It can go on the track, it can go up here, but that's kind of it. But if we have a box and we have, 4 pebbles, now we can make a car, we can make a boat, we can make a person, we can make a tower. So we're taking all of these everyday objects and building creativity, and Megan's fantastic with it. Like, I don't even do it justice. I think you could have her on here for 2 hours talking about it. So she's amazing. Natasha, as I said before, she just started with us recently. She's our cook. She comes to us with 3 years experience in the kitchen. So in September, if we open up and from COVID with the safety precautions, which is what we're planning, you're going to see a little bit new menu, something a little bit fun and fresh that she'll bring to us with her experience. I talked about Norma Shalafu already. So she's our Indigenous liaison. She works with me at the Child and Family Support Center, supports kids where they are, brings culture into their lives. As you said, a life coach. And so she uses her traditional knowledge and teachings to support the children that way. And she's just been fantastic. And she too is a community member and has lived on the First Nation almost her whole life. She's raised her 4 boys here. So when I say that she knows the community, she knows the community. She knows the positives. She knows the people, the struggles that they've had and things that they've overcome. So she's the perfect person for that role, and we're so lucky to have her. Robin Dixon, early childhood educator. Robin is currently in school online, Portage College, for her early learning and childcare diploma. In addition to that, she's a mama too. She's a First Nation member. She lives on the Nation. I mean, this woman, she does it all, right? She's fantastic. She's currently on mat leave, so she won't be returning this September, but the September after, so 2021. Seems like a long way. So we're really excited to have her back. Last person She's not a hired staff, part of the First Nation, but she is someone, a contracted worker that we've hired. Veronique, she is a registered speech and language pathologist with Wood Buffalo Speech and Language Therapy. So in September, we have hired her to work with our children who have speech delays, communication concerns. So she works one-on-one with the children. And then in addition, she also works with our staff as a whole. So you'll see here, I added a picture and you see her, this is at Halloween. So you see Veronique is in the corner. She has her incredible woman suit on, and she builds speech in a very play-based way. She sits with the kids, all of them, not just our children who have delays, but all of our kids. And she introduces speech in a fun way to support everyone. And she also supports our staff. So she gives us these really cool points and tips that we can use when she's not there. So she's just been a fantastic addition to our team. And her, she's also having a baby here pretty soon, August, I believe. So we're looking forward to having her back when she comes back. That's it. That's our team.
No, I mean, it sounds like everybody is really directly connected to the community. Like if they're not a Nation member themselves, they're married to a Nation member, or they have a child who's a Nation member, or something like it sounds like pretty much everybody's really directly connected to the community, and that's pretty awesome. But
Absolutely.
You forgot yourself, right? You're the
yes.
So you are the director, and what does that mean?
It means a lot of things. It's the director part for our childcare services. We'll talk about that first. Is managing our program, coaching. I wasn't saying managing our staff, but just coaching our staff, making sure that we're staying up to date on the changes in regulations with childcare, and that we are taking risks and risks in terms of trying new things and building as a team and trying to support our team in making mistakes, learning from them, and doing other things. I'm responsible for seeking out funding, sponsorship for our program. I failed to say that our Head Start program is actually completely free. So it's a full day program. That's our ages 3 to 5. So our parents on the Nation, our First Nation members, they don't have to pay anything for the childcare service. So it allows them to, come with me and work on those goals and to get full-time work or to go back to school. It really frees them up without having to say, okay, you know what, not just our First Nation members, but anyone. It's hard to think, okay, I have this money. Am I going to feed my kids or am I going to put them in daycare? Well, 10 out of 10 times we're choosing to feed our kids. So we took that off the table, and now we have a program where our kids can benefit and our parents can benefit too. My child and family support role, supporting our community as a whole. So anytime, my kind of pitch to people is, if you need something, just call me. And if it's not me that helps you, well, we have, as I said before, just so many fantastic people on the Nation, so many fantastic departments. And if you're coming for me and you're looking for employment, well, you know what, I'll just call Doug over in employment and training, and he'll meet with you and he'll set you up on this great path to employment. For us, over here on the health center, it's obviously kind of more health based. Yeah, when people come in, I just try to guide them in wherever they need to be, and we have so many supports. So sometimes it's good to have someone who knows them all and can kind of direct you, because there is so many.
Right. That sounds like there's a lot of just like oversight and managing all the operation stuff of it, but also knowing, like you said, all the resources that are available and being able to help people with the information and the access that they need to different tools.
Absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
So your building has been closed since March. You haven't had to be the opportunity to run these fantastic programs. How has that impacted your operations?
Well, you just said it. We can't, when COVID happened, Chief and council were very diligent, as they should have been, as they should continue to be, that we're going to shut our programs down because safety is number one. And we believe the same thing in our Head Start, that safety is number one. So it's impacted us negatively, but specifically it really impacted the kids. As I said before, we are, but currently taking a pause, a full day program. We picked the kids up on the bus, they ate with us, they napped with us, they played with us until they went home. So we were an extension of their home. And, to go from seeing us, every week to nothing, that was really hard on our kids. And so we knew, we being myself and the staff, that we had to ensure we provided some sort of service during COVID to support our kids. And that's what we did. So what we started doing is, second week of COVID, our team got together and they built these beautiful learning packages for our kids. They weren't homework packages, they weren't marked, you didn't have to do them, but they were just resources for parents that if they felt that maybe their child wasn't getting what they needed at home, that they could use these materials. And our staff were available, on call, text messaging, Facebook to support them. And then we delivered those packages right to the parents' homes. It had, paper, coloring and things, but it also had Play-Doh, it had scissors, it had glue sticks, it had cars and loose parts and just things that kids can just play with, right? And in addition, we had weekly Zoom meetings, Zoom classes with our kids. So every week, our rockstar parents logged on at 11 o'clock and we just played, just how you and I are talking. Sometimes it was facilitated. Veronique joined us, our speech and language pathologist. So she read a book and she worked on some syllables and things with the kids. And sometimes, it was just Miss Megan, reading a story, and then we all colored a picture. One was, if we got to build a farm, what would it look like? And we had a pancake farm and we had a cookie farm, and just being together the best way that we could. We knew that was very, very important. The area that we knew would have the biggest impact was our children with high needs, because, as you know, children who have high needs, routine is very important, and routine really helps build that development. So we were planning, and our children who were working one-on-one, how do we support them? We can't be in the classroom with them. What do we do? So the nation members who were working with our speech pathologist, we were able to get them laptops, and we were able to provide them with one-on-one Zoom with our speech pathologist. And this service continued all the way until we finished here in June. And that it's so, pardon me, it's so moving that we're able to offer these services because we're supported by, Chief Kreutzer, Counselor Kreutzer, our CEO, Brad Calahoo. They understand that childcare is prevention work. We're working with these little kids, and someday they're going to be adults. And the things that we do today, the things that we do tomorrow, they matter. And so we've just received nothing but, support from them. And so when I said to Chief and Council, hey, we have children who need speech services, and they have nothing to communicate with, that wasn't an issue. It was solved before my question was even answered. So it's been great.
It really sounds like you're passionate about the work, and that the team are passionate about the work, and that they want to continue to work. And, they're probably can't wait to get back and, be close to these kids that are so important to them, right? Like, yes. I get that sense from you. Do you have any idea when the center is going to be opening again?
Do I have any idea? We are planning for September.
Yeah.
That's our goal. We would love to open in September, fresh and new. We're looking at the Alberta licensing phases and what that looks like. So the license programs were able to open on the 14th of May, licensed by the province. As you know, that we're federal, so it doesn't really apply to us, but what me and the team have done, what we're doing right now is we are reviewing all of the health and safety policies from pretty much anyone who's putting them out. So that's Alberta Health Services, Indigenous Early Learning and Childcare Framework, provincial, federal, Indigenous Service Canada. We're taking all this information and they're saying, this is what it takes to have a safe center. And we're making sure that we're checking all of those boxes and then some. So when our kids hopefully do come back in September, our families know that they're in a safe place. And if there is an outbreak or if it continues, our parents need to know that safety is top priority. So if there is a risk, then we won't continue, right?
Mm.
So if it's August 31st and we're supposed to open in September and there's an outbreak, well, safety is number one, and we'll make sure that the kids are safe.
Right, right.
Yeah.
You had mentioned that like some of the children who are struggling the most are some of the high needs ones, or that there are certainly some of these programs are still, like you see when you log in and you have a Zoom room full of kids, that you can see how much they enjoy the reading and those kind of things. What
Yeah.
are some of the challenges that you think that some of these kids and some of the parents are still having today? And are there any kind of resources that you would suggest that they be attuned to, that you'd recommend that to help them out?
Yeah, absolutely. We're seeing an increase in stress, absolutely, for both our kids and for our parents. We went from being able to go to our next door neighbor's house and have a coffee to not being able to leave our home unless we had to get groceries. And, as an adult, like, what a scary thing. But thinking of our kids who are 3 years old, who that's their life, they know that they can go to their aunt, to their uncles, down the street, and now all of a sudden they can't do that. Like, that's really, really, really hard. So we're looking at the mental health kind of struggles, how our brains now have to wrap around COVID and how we manage things. But there's also our families, and our children they have a lack of security. Our families, some of them are not able to work during COVID, either because, maybe they lost their jobs or no childcare. So that leads to, financial insecurities, food insecurities. And for our children, thinking of lack of security, well, now they can't go see their friends. They can't see their favorite teacher, who reads to them during circle time, right? Not just us as Head Start, but all of the kids who go to school. That is, it's very stressful, and it's not just, specific to, one group. Everyone's going through it, and it's just hard. And specifically for our First Nation community, that's exactly what we are, is a community. And it's not uncommon for, the children of Amico, for the 3 houses on Amico, for all the kids to play together. That's not uncommon for me to drive by and see this person, this person, this person, doing whatever. That's part about being in a community, and that's what makes living on the nation so beautiful. And to have that, taken away from us, it's hard. It's really, really hard.
Mm.
In terms of recommendations and things, there's lots of programs that we have that we can talk about. Specifically, when the research is coming out now, that a big component that we're going to have to invest in down the road is mental health, because as I talked about, what's happening during COVID, that's trauma. It's changing our environment or changing our mindset very rapidly, and that's exactly what trauma is, right? Something happened to us immediately, and that it didn't happen to us before, and now we're changed by it. That's trauma. And so even if I feel trauma differently than you feel trauma, well, it's still the same thing. Pardon me.
Absolutely. Like, there's a lot of stressors that people are going through, and certainly Fort McMurray is no stranger to, and the surrounding areas are no stranger with the evacuations in 2016, with the floods just very recently, with COVID-19, to
Mm-hmm.
trauma, right? To stress,
Mm-hmm.
extreme stresses. Um,
Yeah.
yeah. Would there be any kind of resources that you would recommend that people be aware of?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll just kind of work backwards for a minute. You're talking about stress and trauma and things like that. And some recommendations before I give you like a list of websites and things is, one is to know your stressors, right? To understand that, if this is a poor example, but a stressor, if I have to wait in line for 45 minutes, I'm probably not coming out of that line in a good mood, right? So maybe being impatient is a stressor for me, and understanding yourself, and then moving you away from those things that cause you stress, especially right now. We all have enough stress that adding additional ones isn't going to help. Besides knowing knowing our kids. So one recommendation that I make, it's a program. It's a workshop called Kids Have Stress Too.
Okay.
And it's an educational program for families, where I'm actually going to be running a Kids Have Stress Too workshop online for our families. I'm one of the facilitators. And it's very much just a conversation that I have with parents, and we talk about what stress is, the good stress. So the good stress is I have to study for a test, or I have an interview with Rolando, and right, these are good things that kind of make me a little bit nervous, but I can get by. And then there's toxic stress, which is what we were talking about before. Toxic stress is stressful situations that are continuously happening over time. So trauma, abuse, neglect. Toxic stress is not good for your body, and it can do a lot of damage, not just as an adult, but as a kid. So that's what we talk about with Kids Have Stress Too. So hopefully our First Nation families will join us for that free program online. For the adults, mental health, as I said before, this is going to be a big topic of everything that I say. COVID is affecting our mental health. And some people are going to see more severe effects than others, just like anything. And the worst thing that you can do for your mental health is ignore it, or not, or think that it's just normal and that it'll just go away. So one of the recommendations that I have is for adults to take something called a PHQ test. PHQ-9 is actually what it's called, which is the Patient Health Questionnaire. It's 9 questions, and these questions are related specifically to depression and mental health. When you're done these 9 questions, it'll put you into 3 categories. So not depressed, monetarily depressed, or severely depressed. So then you have this information in front of you with 9 questions, right? It'll take you, let's say not 10 minutes, let's say a minute a question. And then you have these in front of you, and hopefully it puts things into a little bit of a perspective that, okay, you know what? I'm feeling bum, I'm feeling blue, and it's not really normal. Now I have some concrete evidence in front of me that I can take to my doctor or my physician or your child and family support worker, and I can guide you into getting those services. Pardon me, one more questionnaire that I really advise everyone to take involving mental health is something called the ACEs. ACEs is Adverse Childhood Experience. Once again, 10 questions, so it's nothing, it won't take up too much of your time. But what the ACEs is the 10 questions regarding any kind of trauma that you faced as a child. It talks about physical, emotional, sexual trauma. It'll ask you questions about physical, emotional, and then household dysfunction. Was there mental illness in your family? Was someone incarcerated? Did you witness substance abuse? Was your mother treated violently in your presence? Or did your family separate? So it'll ask you these 10 questions, and then it'll give you a score. And what this score does is it gives you an idea of how your traumas that you had as a child could affect you in the long run. So it's not going to give you, any answers, but it's going to make you more aware. So, out of the 10 questions that I asked about trauma, I have 6. So 6 things, happened to me. And now I know that because of those things, I'm more likely to see depression. I'm more likely to be severely obese. I'm more likely to have heart disease or cancer. And now that I know these things, I have that information, I'm going to subconsciously, hopefully, make better choices. So when someone asks me, hey, do you want to try this drug? I can think, you know what? I know that my family has a history of addiction, and I don't know if that's the road I want to go on. I know that my family has mental health concerns. So if I'm feeling blue, maybe I'll take a step towards getting better, maybe sooner than I wouldn't have if I didn't have that information. So that's my recommendations is taking those 2 tests as adults, and then taking that information or that workshop, for children, and just having a better understanding of what's going on kind of in our bodies, especially during COVID.
Just for everybody's information, we also have a list of mental health resources that they can also find on our website, Fort McMurray 468 firstnation.ca. If you need something, immediately in terms of some more immediate supports, those are also available.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, thank you. So we know that there, for the last 3-4 months now, that kids have been home with their families, with their parents, with their grandparents. Are there any, resources or things that you would suggest to help the caretakers with their children in terms of keeping their kids occupied these days? Like, how do we, like you said, you mentioned a package, that care package that got sent home, but are there other things that you would recommend?
Absolutely. So we have an abundance of things that we are offering right now. And then I have some online resources. So for our families, as you said before, we have that, amazing link of phone numbers for mental health support. But in addition, our department has partnered with Alberta Health Services. And we have a mental health counselor who will meet with our families one-on-one. Very simple. All you have to do is call the health center or call me, and we'll set you up an appointment. So that's a real person, real time, really free, no waiting, right? So that's a great resource that we have. For our families who have addiction concerns, our Mark Amy Treatment Center, they just launched this program called Mark Amy Light, and it's an online video platform, and they just talk about how to be supportive if you have a family member who has addiction, how to manage your cravings if you have addiction, just information in a really positive way. We're bringing in that Kids Have Stress Too program. Pardon me. Something really cool to kind of occupy our kids that we're going to be rolling out here in the next couple of weeks is something called our frozen treat bus. So we've taken our school bus, our yellow school bus, and we've actually, I wouldn't say transformed it. We added, some portable coolers, but let's just pretend, magic school bus, that we transformed it into an ice cream truck. So what's going to happen is me and my staff, once a week, we are going to be driving around the nation in our yellow bus, just like an ice cream truck would, and we're going to be handing out frozen treats, healthy alternatives. So fruit-based popsicles, lactose-free ice cream, just a healthy cold treat on a hot day. Our staff are going to make sure that we have our masks and our gloves, social distancing. We're going to have a whole video that's actually going to come out and just talk about the best way for families to come up to our ice cream truck, just so we keep everyone safe. But we're really excited to offer that to our families to kind of break up the summer and to have something for the kids to look forward to.
Awesome.
As far as resources outside of our community, if it's a rainy day and the kids can't go outside and play, there's a website called Go Noodle, spelt exactly how I pronounced it. And it's a website, and it has dancing and games, movement, meditation, mental health. It has all of these really fun, cool programs that kids can do. It's not a game, so it's not something that the kids are like aimlessly looking at and like moving things over, which are fine. There's nothing wrong with that, but it's not that. It's where they get up and they move and they explore their environment. So like I said, that's a really cool one that parents can use, and it's free. So, you know, one of the best things, my daughter and my son, we have an account, and when you create it, you're given this little monster, and he's just a little baby. And every single time that you do a video or you watch a clip or you do a dance, he gets bigger and bigger. And then he transforms into this big, huge, strong monster. And then, after I can't remember how many, then he graduates, and then you got to get a new monster. So it's kind of interactive, and it is really fun. We do it. We had our Head Start open. We did it at the school with the kids, and they just loved it. The Wood Buffalo Regional Library, that is now open. Unfortunately, it's not open for people to come in, but they do have a contactless pickup. So what we have started offering is, if families on the nation, if they do want to get books, DVDs, video games, magazines, they have everything at the library. We encourage them to call the library, see what they have, place an order, and I can pick up a large bulk order. So all they have to do is let me know that, hey, I placed an order with the library, and I'll pick it up for them. So people don't even have to leave their homes.
Awesome. So awesome.
It is really awesome. We have a fantastic community here on the 468, and the RMWB, they have just, you know, phenomenal programs. And the best part of it is a lot of them are free. And that just takes such a stress off of our families, especially during COVID-19. We don't have a lot of money to go around right now, right? So it's beautiful. For parents, for resources, I don't have any like websites or things that I recommend, but I definitely think that our parents should take this time to really invest in themselves, and not financially, but, you know, find a book that they like. Or I just discovered audiobooks, and, you know, my life has changed. Like, now I can clean my bathroom and listen to a book. Like, whew. Spotify, music, LinkedIn Learning is an online platform where people can take real life courses. They can take things like active listening, Microsoft Word, just real programs that will empower them and support them in building their resume and achieving employment, especially right now where, you know, we're kind of stuck at home. This is the best time to start investing in ourselves. And, you know, if you're not feeling like reading, if you don't want to, you know, do a 20-minute class, that's okay. My biggest thing is just get outside and just move your body, right? Just try your best to not stay so stagnant in your home, because that's kind of what gets us into those. It can definitely enable us to get into those mental health slumps, right? If we're just sitting and doing the same thing every single day, well, it's hard. It's hard on our body, and it's hard on our brain.
Mm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah. Look, those have been some tremendous resources that you listed off, and I think, you know, I'm interested to go and create my own little monster now. Like,
there you go. Yeah,
so,
you and your wife can do some videos.
Right?
You'll have to send it to me, because some of them are pretty funny.
Yeah, and certainly as we learn about more resources, we would absolutely share those on the nation's website. But hey, listen, I want to say thanks for your time today. It's been really informative to kind of share all of the programs and services and resources that you have available. But it's also been so amazing to hear about the passion that you have and your team has for the work that you do. That comes across very clearly. Before we wrap things up, do you have any last messages that you want to share with the parents or the kids?
Well, thank you. First off, thank you for your wonderful compliments. Our team is exactly that. They're passionate. And, you know, you said that all of our team is connected to the nation in some way. You're right. And that's why they're passionate. they get it, they understand, and they know the ways of this nation is beautiful and resourceful and fantastic. And they also understand the ways that we can improve, which is why we have such a great team. Final thoughts for our parents, for our kids. Remember to communicate. Remember to communicate with your kids, with your husband, with your employer about how you're feeling during COVID. Everyone is feeling so different. And sometimes that we forget that our children see us and they see how we're acting and seeing what we're doing. And, you know, I'm guilty of it. Sometimes I don't tell my kids the way that I'm feeling. Sometimes, you know, I don't know why. Sometimes I think that I'll just save them from whatever. But I found that I've had the best conversations when I've opened up to my kids. So if I'm having a hard day and, you know, COVID is getting me down, or, you know, I have an assignment due or something, and my daughter is coming up to me and she goes, I want to do this and I want to play, and I can feel myself just getting like, oh, you know, please back away. Communicate that. You know, you don't have, you know, my daughter specifically, she probably wouldn't understand that, you know, I have an assignment due and it's a big deal, but she definitely understands that if I explain it to her in a way that I have a lot to do, and right now I feel overwhelmed, right? My daughter gets that. If we have to clean the house and I ask her to do 10 things, you know, after the second thing, she's asking me for a break. She's like, you know what, there's too much to do and I kind of need a break, right? So kids get it. Sometimes we have to be creative with our language, but kids get it. And your spouse gets it and your boss gets it, right? If you're feeling like there's too much on your plate, your employer, the people around you, they're human and they don't expect these remarkable things from you all the time during COVID. So making sure that you're communicating with people and that you're communicating with yourself. And if there's ever a time where you're feeling lost and you don't know where to go, and maybe you just don't know what's wrong, I really encourage you to reach out to our health team. Reach out to the health center. The health center number 780-334-2443. Call me 780-713-9119. Call us. We are here to help. So that's my message. Please communicate. Please know that we're here. We're in this together. And stay strong. Stay healthy.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today.
No
This has
problem.
been so helpful, just in terms of, like I said, sharing all the resources and learning about what they are, and being able to share that with the nation members. I think it's you know, really great that because as I've said before, like a majority of the nation members don't live on the reserve, so it's helpful for them to understand what services and programs are available on the reserve, just so they know what their nation's doing, right? Some of the things that they're doing, for sure. And even being able to access some of the resources that you've pointed to online, I think is really helpful for them as well. So thanks for your help. Thanks for your time today. I really appreciate it. Once again, everybody, this has been the 468 Focus. This is Jennifer Vardy today, the Director of Childcare Services and Director of Child and Family Supports. I'm Rolando. Have a wonderful day, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you for watching, everyone. See ya.